This guy is a real bad guy. He's too bad because our job is to make bad f***ers. Okay? Our job is to make bad f***ers do bad things. And even for us, there is a line. There is a limit. And Eddie Gallagher was that limit. But Pete Hegseth went to Donald Trump and was like, you have to pardon this guy and you have to give him his medals back. And Trump was like, sure, say no more. That is the Pete Hegseth. All right.
Now to the Trump.
Trump has outlined his aggressive agenda for the second presidential term, where he talked about going against the 14th Amendment and, well, in other circumstances, creating a constitutional crisis. But in this circumstance, no constitutional crisis will most likely happen, considering the Supreme Court is entirely bought out by Trump loyalists who will advance his white nativist anti-immigrant project. He has said that he is going to revoke birthright citizenship.
Transition. The president-elect sat down for his first TV interview since the election, outlining an aggressive agenda starting on day one. Our chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce is in Washington with more. Mary, good morning.
Really heard from the president-elect like this since his victory, and this morning we are getting a clearer sense of what Donald Trump is planning for his first day in office, from immigration to the economy and his vows of retribution. This morning, President-elect Donald Trump is working to hit the ground running, starting with his efforts to boost the economy. But
yes, all birthright citizenship. Yes, he said he's going to no longer offer birthright citizenship, as in it's not retroactive, but I'm sure they will inevitably move down the line. But they have said that they would process denaturalizations, but basically what he's saying is that they are looking into stopping birthright citizenship, as in if you are born on U.S. soil currently as it stands, and this is in the Constitution, okay? If you're born on U.S. soil, you're an American citizen. Many countries have this, for the record, with the exception of some restrictions applied in like European nations. But like even in fucking China, as far as I understand, you can't be a Chinese citizen unless you get like a specialty naturalization process. But if you marry a Chinese citizen and have a child on Chinese soil with a Chinese citizen, then yeah, your child is a Chinese citizen. Now, in the United States of America, across the board, and in many other Latin American countries as well, if you're born on the soil of the nation, you are automatically processed as a citizen. What is this? Jabuki on HasanAbi stream when? Oh my God, Jabuki quote retweeted anti-Piker. Oh no. Do we really think it's a good idea to tell the world that all you have to do to become famous and loved and have millions of people thirst after you online is kill a healthcare CEO? Really, America? Let me hold your hand when I say this. This is a major yikes for me. Hashtag facepalm. Anyway, let's continue.
Pressed on concerns his plan to implement punishing tariffs will raise prices, Trump admits he can't guarantee Americans won't pay more.
I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee tomorrow. Tariffs are properly used, are a very powerful tool, not only economically, but also for...
Wait, what? China does not have just a child born on Chinese soil will not be a Chinese citizen unless one parent is a citizen? Why do chatters always repeat, like, literally what I just said a moment ago, but they just repeat it in the chat and they make it seem as though like they're adding additional context when it's just verbatim what I just said, like verbatim. I don't know if it's like the mobile delay or something. I just said that. Like I gave the specifics of it. Like I said exactly that. Anyway.
Or getting other things outside of economics.
Trump has pledged to impose tariffs on China and a 25% tariff on all goods imported from Mexico and Canada. But some economists say it would cost American families more than $2,600 a year. And on immigration, Trump confirming his plan for mass deportations, starting with convicted criminals, but ultimately saying they could include any immigrants in the country illegally.
I think you have to do it, and it's a very tough thing to do. But you have to have, you have rules, regulations, laws. They came in illegally.
Even if they have children that are U.S. citizens.
I don't want to be breaking up families, so the only way you don't break up the family is you keep them together and you have to send them all back.
Trump confirming his plan to try to end birthright citizenship on day one, even though it's enshrined in the 14th Amendment, suggesting he may try to amend the Constitution.
We're going to have to get a change. We'll maybe have to go back to the people, but we have to end it.
One group that could be protected under his plan, the so-called Dreamers, undocumented immigrants who came to the U.S. as children and have lived here most of their lives.
In many cases, they become successful. They have great jobs. In some cases, they have small businesses. Some cases, they might have large businesses. And we're going to have to do something with them. I think we can work with the Democrats and work something out.
And when it comes to his campaign promises to seek revenge against his opponents, Trump says he will not direct his administration to pursue.
One is the kids in cages guy. Yeah, now he has another better solution, I guess, a less violent solution, which is mass deportation of the children and the parents. That's what he's saying. He's like, we're going to keep the families together. We're just going to deport them together. We're going to put them in the concentration camps together and then deport them together.
Two political prosecutions, suggesting he will leave such decisions up to his attorney general and FBI director.
I'm really looking to make our country successful. I'm not looking to go back into the past. I'm looking to make our country successful. Retribution will be through success.
But he is also lashing out at members of the House committee that investigated his role in the January 6th attack on the Capitol, calling out former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, saying they should all be imprisoned.
For what they did.
Yeah.
Don't trust Misgive. He is hoping for your downfall. What? What the f does that mean? Where the f did that come from?
Honestly, they should go to jail.
Now, Liz Cheney.
Wait, who did he say should go? Oh, yeah. He said Liz Cheney and them should go to jail for the crimes that they committed against the January 6ers.
It investigated his role in the January 6th attack on the Capitol, calling out former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, saying they should all be imprisoned.
For what they did.
Yeah.
Honestly, they should go to jail.
Now, Liz Cheney overnight responding to Trump's comments, calling them an assault on the rule of law. Trump.
I mean, just, sometimes he throws us a bone, you know what I mean? Like, this is like the lock her up conversation around, lock her up conversation around Hillary Clinton. Got me saying rule of law.
Also said he would work to pardon the January 6th rioters as soon as day one, and he still will not concede that he lost the 2020 election, even when pressed to do so in an effort to bring the country together and move forward. Robin.
All right. Our thanks to you, Mary.
President-elect Donald Trump, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here. You are the first president since Grover Cleveland to win non-consecutive terms. Mm-hmm. Republicans now have control of the House and the Senate. Right. What do you plan to accomplish in your first 100 days in office?
Well, we're going to do something with the border, and very strong, very powerful. That'll be our first signal, and the first signal to America that we're not playing games. We have people coming in by the millions, as you know, and a lot of people shouldn't be here. Most of them shouldn't be here, but we have jails being emptied into our country. We have mental institutions from all over the world being emptied into our country. So we'll be doing that. We're going to be extending within that period, or as soon as we can, the Trump tax cuts, because, they're coming due and they're very substantial for people. And it would be I think it will anger a lot of people, frankly, if we don't get an extension of that. That's what led us to one of the greatest economies ever. And those two things are going to be very vital, very important. We're going to be focusing on crime in the cities, and we'll work with Democrat governors. Most of them are, as you know, if you look at the 25 worst places, they're just about all Democrat-controlled cities and states. And we're going to be working with Democrat governors and Democrat mayors, and I look forward to doing it. But we have to do something about crime, and mostly in our cities. And we're going to have a lot of other things. We'll be working.
I sped up the interview, Chad. That's why he sounds like that. God damn.
On nominations, we're going to still be working on some nominations. I think they're going very well. We have, for the most part, I think they're going extremely well. It looks like Peter's doing well now. I mean, people were a little bit concerned. He's a young guy with a tremendous track record, actually. He went to Princeton and went to Harvard. He was a good student at both, but he loves the military, and I think people are starting to see it. So we'll be working on his nomination along with a lot of others.
We are going to delve into your nominations, but since you bring him up, do you still have confidence in Pete Hegseth?
Yes, I do. I really do. He's a very smart guy. I've known him through Fox, but I've known him for a long time. And he's basically a military guy. I mean, every time I talk to him, all he wants to talk about is the military. He's a military guy. I used to kid him about it. I didn't think we'd be in this position where he may be, hopefully will be Secretary of Defense. But every time I was with him, he was fighting for soldiers, where he said some soldier was unjustly put in prison because they were really doing what they were taught to do in some cases. So, yeah, I think he's going to do fine.
The fact that there are these allegations against him, misconduct, sexual misconduct, heavy drinking, the fact that he said to some senators reportedly he'll stop drinking if he gets this job, does that worry you?
No, I think that every...
Check peace tattoos, bro. We know. Check what he has said about Muslims. He is a fucking psycho. And by the way, his interactions with Trump that were successful revolve around him getting Eddie Gallagher off. Okay? A war criminal so bad that his own unit was fucking up the sights on his goddamn scope so he couldn't successfully assassinate children. Okay? Do you know how difficult it is to investigate a decorated troop for war crimes successfully in the American military? Are you kidding me? You have to be a truly atrocious, a truly heinous sociopath. You have to be a literal fucking serial killer. The entire process of the American military is to get grunts to do horrifying, violent shit. And those guys literally turned around and were like, this dude is a real monster. None of what I'm saying is an exaggeration. Okay? None of what I'm saying is an exaggeration. He literally stabbed a fucking detained ISIS 16-year-old to death while he was apprehended, while he was zip tied. Like, straight up war crime. Like, that is, you might not agree with it. You'd be like, oh, he's ISIS, who gives a fuck? But like, it's a literal war crime. You cannot do that. Okay? Yeah, his unit reported him because they were afraid of him. And you know what happened? The American military went through the process and then was like, okay, this guy is a real bad guy. This guy is a real bad guy. He's too bad, because our job is to make bad motherfuckers. Okay? Our job is to make bad motherfuckers do bad things. And even for us, there is a line. There is a limit. And Eddie Gallagher was that limit. But Pete Hegseth went to Donald Trump and was like, you have to pardon this guy and you have to give him his medals back. And Trump was like, sure, say no more. That is the Pete Hegseth, Fox News reporter, Donald Trump connection. Gallagher was accused of multiple offenses during his final deployment in Iraq and during the battle for Mosul. The most prominent accusation, the best attested to, was the murder of a prisoner of war, a war crime. Khaled Jamal Abdullah, a captured 17-year-old fighter of the Islamic State, was being treated by a medic. According to two SEAL witnesses, Gallagher said, he's mine, over the radio, then walked up to Abdullah and allegedly proceeded to stab him with his hunting knife without explanation. Gallagher and his commanding officer, Lieutenant Jake Portier, then posed for photographs of them standing over the body with some other Navy nearby SEALs. Gallagher then text messaged a friend in California a picture of himself holding the dead captive's head by the hair with the explanation, good story behind this, got him with my hunting knife. Prosecutors alleged that Gallagher's sniper work during his 2017 deployment became reckless and bloodthirsty. It's not prosecutors alleging this. It was his own unit that revealed this information to the prosecutors, to a higher up. He was such a fucking, so bloodthirsty that his own unit was like, nah, this is too much. A literal serial killer. He allegedly fired his rifle far more frequently than other snipers, according to testimony. The other snipers in the platoon did not consider him a good sniper, and he took random shots in the buildings. Other snipers said they witnessed Gallagher taking at least 2 militarily pointless shots, shooting and killing an unarmed elderly man in a white robe, as well as a young girl walking with other girls. Gallagher allegedly boasted about the large number of people he had killed, claiming he averaged 3 kills a day over 80 days, including 4 women. Gallagher was also reportedly known for indiscriminately with no known enemy force in the region. A charge of obstruction of justice was brought against Gallagher for alleged witness intimidation. According to the claim, Gallagher allegedly threatened to kill fellow SEALs if they reported his actions. The Navy cited his text messages attempting to undermine the investigation. So all of that aside, they still were able to get him on some of this stuff. This is just like the tip of the iceberg. The case was considered to be difficult because the Navy did not begin a formal investigation for nearly a year after the reports were made. And by then, much of the physical evidence, such as the bodies of those alleged to be killed by Gallagher, were not recoverable. For the record, the prosecution's case relied largely on eyewitness testimony, which the defense sought to discredit as merely that of spiteful malcontents who disliked Gallagher's gruff leadership style. Now, why am I talking about this? Like I said, because Gallagher was proven innocent. The prosecution's main witness said he made up the story just to defame him. That is insane. There is literally photographic evidence. What the fuck are you talking about? Dude, Dude, that is insane. Is Pete Hegseth in the chat? No. No, the main witness for the prosecution. Did you even see the court case? Yes, I literally listened to members of his platoon openly talk about changing the optics of changing the size of his weapons, like fucking up his rifle optics, specifically so that he would not be able to target random women. And no, he was not found innocent. He had to be pardoned by Donald Trump. Hunter told reporters that he intended to ask for a presidential pardon if Gallagher was convicted. According to anonymous administration sources, the Justice Department was reviewing Gallagher's case in preparation for a possible pardon from President Trump. This potential pardon was hotly criticized in the Washington Post opinion pages. During a podcast interview, Hunter said that he himself had posed for pictures of dead enemy combatants and American artillery fire had killed hundreds of Iraqi civilians in and around Fallujah. Now, what's really interesting about Duncan D. Hunter is that he's also a criminal. What's really funny about Duncan Hunter, you might remember Duncan Hunter because his offices were raided by the FBI as a part of a criminal investigation agency's computers, other electronics, and financial records because he was mismanaging campaign finance. He was in violation of campaign finance law, and he had converted tens of thousands of dollars of campaign funds from his congressional campaign committee to personal use to pay for family travel, flights, utilities, healthcare, school uniforms, tuition, jewelry, groceries, other goods, services, and expenses. He even, what was it? He was the Steam guy, right? Yeah. Hunter said that he had repaid his campaign approximately $60 grand in 2016. So the guys defending him are also fucking weirdos as well. On June 20th, 2019, during Gallagher's trial, one of the platoon medics from Gallagher's team testifying as a prosecution witness said that although Gallagher did stab the ISIS fighter, he did not actually kill him. The medic, Special Operator First Class Corey Scott, who testified under immunity agreement, testified that he himself had killed the wounded prisoner by covering his breathing tube and asphyxiating him. Scott called it a mercy killing and argued that the victim would have been tortured by Iraqi personnel because of his connection to ISIS. Following Scott's confession, prosecutors canceled other witnesses they had planned to call, fearing their testimony would further undermine their case. Prosecutors were taken by surprise in Scott's testimony, since the medic had never given this version of events to them or Navy investigators. This account was also contrary to the statements of at least 7 other SEALs from his own platoon. Because of the immunity agreement, Scott could not be prosecuted for testifying that he killed the prisoner, and while press reports suggested Scott could conceivably be charged with perjury, the Navy dropped this investigation into the statements. He got convicted and court-martialed, received a demotion, okay? Anyway, the point is, the president intervened. The clemency decision ended up moot. In November 2019, President Trump announced that Gallagher's demotion would be reversed. Why did he do this? Well, I'll tell you why he did this. Because Pete Hegseth. Pete fucking Hegseth. Fox News' very own doorbuster, Pete Hegseth, was in Trump's ear and convinced him to pardon and intervene in this process and to pardon Eddie Gallagher. And not only pardon him, but also give his medals back. Anyway, Pete Hegseth also famously is a rapist. Like, straight up. He sexually assaulted a woman who was inebriated and could not consent, was drugged and could not consent. And it was reported as such in the police report that was filed at the time. He packed it up by, settling out of court, giving money to this person, this victim. Pete Hegseth was such an obvious abuser that his own mom sent him an email. Okay? His own mom in 2018 sent Pete Hegseth a fucking email. Stop lying. What are you talking about? I'd like that the Republican, like, Pete Hegseth defenders basically just have no counter to this. His mom took it back. I'm getting there. Okay? But that's not a lie. To say that Pete Hegseth's mother accused her son of mistreating women for years is not a lie. You can't say that's a lie. That literally happened. Like, yeah, and then she said, no, he's different now. He's changed. You can't say that something is a lie when it's just not a lie. That is not a reasonable defense. Doors open. Anyway, I think what is shocking overall is the fact that she even sent this email to her son, okay? It is shocking that she even sent this email. A mother sending this email to their son is damning enough. Yeah. Now that her son could potentially become defense secretary, she's like, oh, yeah, just kidding. He's changed. He's different now. Benim menajerim geldi baba. On behalf of all the women, I know as many, you have abused in some way, I say, get some help and take an honest look at yourself, Penelope Hegseth Roth, stating that she still loved him. She also wrote, I have no respect for any man that belittles, lies, cheats, sleeps around, and uses women for his own power and ego. You are that man and have been for years. And as your mother, it pains me and embarrasses me to say that. But it is the sad, sad truth. Mrs. Hegseth, in a phone interview with the New York Times on Friday, said that she had sent her son an immediate follow-up email, at the time apologizing for what she had written. She says she had fired off the original email in anger with emotion at a time when he and his wife were going through a very difficult divorce. In the interview, she defended her son and disavowed the sentiments she had expressed in the initial email about his character and treatment of women. This is crazy. Like, disappointing your own mother is like, is a generational L. Ha? Yok, hayır bilmiyorum. Herhalde getirdi her şey. Evet, evet. Tamam. Kapıyı kapatabilirsin. Did we already discuss the UHC assassin or no? I love when people come in 6 hours and 39 minutes into the broadcast to be like, did you cover the top news story of the day? What do you think we were doing for the past 6 hours and 39 minutes until you arrived at the broadcast? You know what I mean? The answer is no. I refuse to cover it. I'm too scared of covering this story. Questions about Mr. Hegseth's treatment of women have emerged in the weeks. Anyway, also Pete Hegseth is a notorious adulterer and a notorious drunk as well. Like, he has had a child out of wedlock with each of the people that he ended up marrying, that he cheated on their former wives, on his former wives with. So incredible stuff overall. And that is before we get to the many different instances where he said that, you know, Muslims are barbaric, violent monsters who are invading America, and we have to deal with them by mass deportations, or else they are going to bring about Sharia law into this country. And the fact that he is a rabid right-wing Christian nationalist. Anyway, it's Hegseth. He's my wife's cousin. That's crazy. Brown-O-Matic. Be safe, chatter. That's a wild... We got a HasanAbi head that's like 1 degree removed from the potential next defense secretary. With a name like Brown-O-Matic, too. Just watch yourself around Pete, you know? I'm just trying to get on my right-wing grind. Anyway, yeah, Pete Hegseth, not a good guy.
Everybody has something that they can stop. Some people can stop eating. I'm lucky I'm not a drinker, but I could stop eating. And we all want to stop doing something. And if he said that, I mean, it's a nice thing to say. That's a good thing to say. But he's very respected. I can tell you, I know a lot of the people at Fox, they think he's fantastic. And the people that work with him, really, they love him. So I think you're going to have somebody that's really terrific. And again, all he talked about with me, I said, you know, you're not really a television guy, even though he did very well, as you know. You're really a military guy. He said, I'm all about the military. And I told him, so he's making a lot of money at Fox. They're doing very well. And I said, you know, if for some reason you don't get this thing, you're not going to be able to go back. And all that money you're making, you can kiss it goodbye. He said, this is all about America. You know, he didn't say, well, let me think about it. Let me discuss it. That's a very big, risky thing he's doing. When he goes and he says, I'm going to give up, you know, millions of dollars in order to possibly become the Secretary of Defense. A lot of people would say it's a great position. It's probably almost no greater position, but a lot of people would say, I have to think about it. He said, I don't have to think about it.
All right, we're going to delve into your cabinet picks a little bit later, but I want to delve into one of your signature promises on the campaign trail, which was to end inflation, to lower prices. You are now proposing tariffs against the United States' 3 biggest trading partners. Economists of all stripes say that ultimately consumers pay the price of tariffs.
I don't believe
Can you guarantee American families won't pay more?
I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee tomorrow. But I can say that if you look at just pre-COVID, we had the greatest economy in the history of our country. And I had a lot of tariffs on a lot of different countries, but in particular China. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars, and we had no inflation. In fact, when I handed it over, they didn't have inflation for a year and a half. They wanted almost 2 years, just based on what I had created. And then they created inflation with energy and with spending too much. So I think we will. I'm a big believer in tariffs. I think tariffs are the most beautiful word. I think they're beautiful. It's going to make us rich. We're subsidizing.
It's just, that's not how anything works, but it's okay. Tariffs are a beautiful word.
Canada to the tune of over $100 billion a year. We're subsidizing Mexico for almost $300 billion. We shouldn't be subsidizing. Why are we subsidizing these countries? If we're going to subsidize them, let them become a state. We're subsidizing Mexico, and we're subsidizing Canada, and we're subsidizing many countries all over the world. And all I want to do is I want to have a level, fast, but fair playing field.
Sir, your previous tariffs during your first administration cost Americans some $80 billion. And now you have major companies from Walmart, Black & Decker, AutoZone saying that any tariffs are going to force them to drive up prices for their consumers. How do you make sure that these CEOs, that these companies don't, in fact, pass on the cost of tariffs to their consumers?
They cost Americans nothing. They made a great economy for us. They also solve another problem. If we were going to have problems having to do with wars and having to do with other things, tariffs, I have stopped wars with tariffs by saying, you guys want to fight, it's great, but both of you are going to pay tariffs to the United States at 100%. And they have many purposes, tariffs, if properly used. I don't say you use them like a madman. I say properly used. But it didn't cost this country anything. It made this country money. And we never really got the chance to go all out because we had to fight COVID in the last part. And we did it very successfully. And when I handed it over to Biden, the stock market was higher than what it was just previous to COVID coming in. It was actually higher. Tariffs are properly used, are a very powerful tool, not only economically, but also for getting other things outside of economics.
Well, again, prices did go up on some goods in your first administration, washing machines, tires. Will you punish CEOs?
Let me just explain to you. No. You mentioned washing machines. So you look at Whirlpool in Ohio. I got a call from Jim Jordan, one of the greats, congressman from Ohio, and he said, they're going out of business because South Korea and China are dumping washing machines into our country. And I put a 50% tariff on the washing machines coming in from China and South Korea.
They're dumping it. They're dumping the washing machines.
Korea. And Whirlpool and the companies that made washing machines, which are based in Ohio, largely based in Ohio, went through the roof. We saved thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs. They were all going out of business because they were dumping washing machines. And when I put the tariffs on, they became successful.
Okay. That is an example, and I don't know how successful this was, and I think it still ends up rising. It still ends up raising the cost, but that is an example of a directed tariff for a competitive manufacturing business that already exists in the United States of America. It still would most likely end up raising costs overall, but that's not necessarily a bad trade protectionist policy. This is exactly what I mean when I say there are certain ways of doing tariffs that I'm not going to disagree with off the jump. Okay. However, broad tariffs to 55% of all trade, like to our top three trade partners across the board, is insane. It will destroy the American economy. Okay. Because there are like raw materials that we simply do not have in the United States of America, for example, that we need to get from elsewhere. Okay. Like it will inevitably raise the price of everything. It will raise the price of all goods, because I say this as someone who obviously, as you guys know, uses American manufacturing in my garments. These are union hands that touch the shirt that I'm currently wearing and many others that you can purchase at ideology.shop. However, even in that situation, there are probably certain products in the garments manufacturing business that they are still getting from Canada or Mexico or China, like wool. You know what I mean? In that process, the price of the garments that they're manufacturing in the United States of America, okay, will still increase. Did I say it wrong? Why is everybody making wool? How do you say it? Am I saying it wrong? I'm ESL. What? Okay, whatever. Stop making fun of me. You guys are lame and annoying. Okay, speak two languages and then we'll talk, okay? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm fucking bilingual. Monolingual chatters chirping in the chat. You can't even speak English good enough, okay? Anyway, xenophobia coming through. Exactly. Yeah. Speak English well enough. I know. Anyway, where was I? You knocked me out of my train of thought, you sons of bitches. So my point is, even if someone is using American manufacturing, it will still drive up the cost of goods if there's like broad across the board tariffs.
Successful businesses. No, it didn't. Not only didn't it cost people, it made our country stronger and more powerful, and it kept jobs.
But how do you make sure that consumers don't wind up paying more. Will you punish CEOs who try to pass the cost of tariffs on to their customers?
Well, the market's going to take care of it. I mean, actually, the market takes care of it. And if it doesn't, we adjust it somewhat. But in the case of Whirlpool, or let's say companies that made washing machines, they were all being put out of business by the dumping from, in particular, South Korea and China. And when I put the tariffs on, very substantial tariffs, although peanuts compared to what people do to us, what countries do to us, it became a very, very powerful, successful company. Now, let's say I didn't do the tariffs. It would have gone out of business. You would have lost tens of thousands of jobs. And you don't include that in your equation. No, they make a lot of money. I'll go a step further.
China bans exports to the United States of gallium, germanium, antimony, and other key high-tech materials. So that means we can get it ourselves from our own USA ground/dirt. Stop relying upon China and foreign countries. Andy Thomas is going to he's going to find it, dude. That's right. You don't understand it, Xi. Xi Jinping, you're on notice. I'm going to make this chip with American dirt. Wait until he learns who refines the metals they dig out of American dirt. No, I'll refine it with my bare hands. Andy's a prospector.
Tariffs are going to make our country rich.
Did you go on Timcast IRL today? No, I didn't. And you got a week off. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to ban you. You're fucking annoying. This chatter got 1 day banned for consistently spamming in the chat. Are you going on Timcast IRL tomorrow? Are you going Timcast IRL tomorrow? And then as soon as his ban, because I remember when I banned him, as soon as his ban ended, he waited 24 fucking hours for his 1 day ban to end, immediately to fucking chirp and be like, did you go on Timcast IRL today? He's done.
Rich. Tariffs are going to help us pay off $35 trillion in debt. Tariffs are going to make our country safe because China, as an example, doesn't want to play games with us if we're going to do tariffs on them. They don't want to play games. And we have a lot of games being played on us right now.
Well, I think, and that takes me to my next question. Yeah. Are you actually going to impose these tariffs, or are they a negotiating tactic?
Well, I'll give you an example. With Canada, and in particular Mexico, we have millions of people pouring into our country. You agree with that? I spoke with
does she?
Both. I spoke with
Does she agree with that? You agree with that? Canada, millions of people are pouring in from Canada. I don't know if she agrees with that.
Justin Trudeau. In fact, he flew to Mar-a-Lago within about 15 seconds after the call ended. Yeah. He was at Mar-a-Lago. We were having dinner talking about it. I said, you have to close up your borders because they're coming in the northern border, too, a lot. Not like the southern border, but they're coming in the Canadian border a lot. And drugs are pouring in. Almost as importantly, drugs are pouring in, maybe more importantly, drugs are pouring in at levels never seen before, 10 times.
I do respect him committing to the bit because, like, I used to make these memes about, like, you know, shut off the northern border and stuff. And, like, it seems like he's committed to that, too. Like, Snow Mexico, you're on notice. I don't know how he arrived at this, but, like, it is pretty funny that he wants to shut off the Canadian border. Respect.
Times what we had.
He's morally consistent.
They're just pouring in. We can't have open borders. And I said to the president of Mexico and to Justin Trudeau, if it doesn't stop, I'm going to put tariffs on your country at about 25%. That's a very substantial tariff. And in the case of, in both cases, but in the case where it was really visible, within 10 minutes after that phone call, we noticed that the people coming across the border, the southern border, having to do with Mexico, they were at a trickle, just a trickle. It was, in fact, I called the border. See, unlike my opponent, I do call the border a lot. And I said, how's the border looking today? They said, there's nobody here. They couldn't believe it. The military stopped these vast groups of people. You know, we call them caravans, but they had caravans of people, and they largely stopped them. Now, they're going to have to continue that, but if they don't continue, and the other thing I told them is no more drugs, and I told that to China, too. I had to deal with President Xi. Had the election been different, I'm going to be very nice because we don't have to get into an argument over 2020, but had the election been different, the result been different, we would have had China giving the maximum penalty, which is the penalty of death, to people that sent fentanyl into this country. But Biden didn't, unfortunately, finish that discussion up. I had an agreement with President Xi, who I got along with very well. We've had communication as recently as this week. And I had communication with him where they were going to give the death penalty to anybody sending drugs into the United States.
This week you had that conversation?
Not that conversation, but I had other conversations. Okay. But in the past, I've had that conversation.
Let me ask you about another aspect of the economy, sir, the minimum wage. The federal minimum wage has been $7.25 since 2009. There are 20 states that still have the federal minimum wage at $7.25. And I actually have a map. 19 of these states actually voted for you, sir. Mm-hmm. and you can see it right here. I don't know if you remember this, but during the debate in 2020, I asked you if you would raise the minimum wage. You said you would consider it. And so my question for you is, now that you are going back to the White House, for these 19 states that voted for you, are you going to raise the federal minimum wage?
It's a very low number. I will agree. It's a very low number. Let me give you the downside, though. Yeah. In California, they raised it up to a very high number. And your restaurants are going out of business all over the place.
Is it? Huh. I mean, I don't know. What the fuck do I know? I live here. That's crazy. I don't think that's the case, man.
Population is shrinking. It's had a very negative impact. But there is a level at which you could do it.
Yeah. No, people are escaping California because the minimum wage increased. And not because not because the cost of living is insane. Specifically, real estate. You know, the one thing that everyone is universally angry about. Okay. But of course, he is a real estate developer. So obviously, he's not going to do anything about that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What is that level?
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I can say this. You have a lot of businesses that are open and thriving because of the lower minimum wage. If you raise it too much.
Oh, that's why they're Mississippi thriving. Because the minimum wage is low. States are thriving because of low minimum wage, he said. That's amazing. That's amazing. Amazing stuff. God. This is the real champion, the real populist. The real populist right-winger, folks. He knows what's good for you, okay? You fucking peasants. Yeah. I wouldn't say the one thing people are mad about. People seem to be pretty upset at health insurance. Yeah, I mean, health insurance and housing, like those are two major pressure points. You don't understand. An anti-minimum wage conservative think tank with a vague, unassuming name said that California has lost fast food jobs since the minimum wage hike. Yeah. Yeah, but Donald Trump doesn't fucking read those things. What are you, crazy? He doesn't. He can barely read. I don't think he's literate. He's just saying, he's just basically fucking, shooting from the hip here.
Too much, and you understand this. If they went crazy, and the restaurants are closing all over. Many more people are hurt.
So I hear you saying, similarly to sort of what you said in 2020, will you consider it? Is this something you're going to look at?
I'd want to speak to the governors. And the other thing that's very complicated about minimum wages is places are so different. Mississippi and Alabama and great places are very different than New York or California. I mean, in terms of the cost of living and other things. So it would be nice to have just a minimum wage for the whole country, but it wouldn't work because you have places where it's very inexpensive to live, where a minimum wage, which is $8 or $9, might have very little effect because the cost of living in certain places is really low.
Before we move on to immigration, which I do want to talk about, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, said he will not leave his post even if you ask him to. Will you try to replace Jerome Powell?
No, I don't think so. I don't see it. But I think if I told him to, he would. But if I asked him to, he probably wouldn't. But if I told him to, he would.
You don't have plans to do that right now?
No, I don't.
Okay, let's talk about mass deportation, one of your big agenda items. You've talked about prioritizing people who have criminal histories.
Correct.
But is it your plan to deport everyone who is here illegally over the next 4 years?
Well, I think you have to do it. And it's a very tough thing to do. But you have to have, you have rules, regulations, laws. They came in illegally. The people that have been treated very unfairly are the people that have been online for 10 years to come into the country. And we're going to make it very easy for people to come in terms of they have to pass the test. They have to be able to tell you what the Statue of Liberty is. They have to tell you a little bit about our country. They have to love our country. They can't come out of prisons. We don't want people that are in for murder. So we had 11,000 and 13,000 different estimates, 13,099 murderers released into our country over the last 3 years. They're walking down the streets. They're walking next to you and your family, and they're very dangerous.
The 13,000 figure, I think, goes back about 40 years.
No, it doesn't. No, it's within the 3-year period. It's during the Biden term now.
That's not true. She's right. He's wrong. Why? Nothing matters. Literally nothing matters. It just doesn't matter. Like there's no reason to ever conduct a fact check of any sort here. Okay? He has a platform. He is the next president. And his fans don't give a fuck. They're like, nah, you're lying. Your fake news is bullshit. It is really crazy. And it's like, what do I always say? Narrative is more important than the truth. And this is yet another clear indication of that, where there is no reason to investigate any further. Whatever he says goes. And this happens in, obviously, like, even daily silliness that we experience here on this broadcast. Like this is become a not necessarily like a right-wing phenomena, but just like something that happens over and over again from very limited and tiny and rather inconsequential experiences that people have on a day-to-day basis, all the way up to the motherfucking president. That's it. No more live interviews with Trump, only boring clips and analysis like on the HasanAbi broadcast. No, it's just like, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He just straight up lies all the fucking time. And people do it all the time too. Like, people just do it against people that they don't like. I mean, think about it this way. Here, I'll give you a micro example of this that has played itself out. Misgiv farmed LSF the other day, and he was like, Hasan was not allowed to be in front of the brands because he's a brand risk, right? You say ironic coming from Hasan. Okay, explain to me where I have done this, and we can discuss. Twisting truth, if it is narrative, is what you mean. Ironic coming from Hasan, but we'll table this, had Ebola, and we'll get back to you in a second. So Misgiv said something that immediately was clipped on LSF. It just wasn't true at all. The idea that like I really wanted to stand in front of like the branded step and repeat, a branded step and repeat that I did stand in front of to get my photos taken regardless. Like nobody cared. People were just like, oh, this goes along with an overarching narrative. I don't like Hasan. So I'm just going to be like, yeah, this is real. He wanted to really be in front of the step and repeat. And he was desperately trying to be in front of the step and repeat, but like they just wouldn't let him. Okay. Something that I didn't even realize at the time was even a concern. Okay. Step and repeat is like the red carpet thing that has like all the brand logos and all the advertising logos. And what was the reason the crew told you to say there? I still don't know to this day, like to this very moment. And I did not really investigate it either, but I suspect it had something to do with lighting or the very fact that they wanted to continue using the step and repeat for people that they were snapping photos of at the time. It seems like they did that. In other occasions as well. But ultimately, it doesn't even fucking matter, right? It did not matter at all. It could be for a multitude of reasons because my outfit was all black. Maybe they, didn't think that it would look good. So they wanted to do it in front of the green shrubbery. It could be because they had kept moving Rom away from the step and repeat over and over again because they wanted him to not take advantage of the step and repeat because people were taking photos on it. But ultimately, it's a relatively inconsequential thing. Okay, ironic coming from Hasan. Nuke covers it best. Oh my God, ew. Nuke covers it best. You should have a little bit more shame. First of all, be a man. Okay, be a man. Number one. If you have your own personal convictions, tell me what it is. Tell me what the issue is. Instead of being like, I am going to let another, drama YouTuber make my case for me. You should have your own personal case. But what makes this even funnier is that the person that you are bringing up is like some fucking weirdo Israel defender and also lolicon enjoyer with a VTuber avatar. Like, have an independent thought. And even if you're not going to have an independent thought, the very fact that you would point to a guy like this is fucking hilarious. Have some decency, man. You also try to bait people into saying racial slurs via TTS donations. Lots of VTubers had to deal with it. Yeah. The one guy that he pointed to was a VTuber that every other VTuber fucking despises. Anyway, you'll never believe who believed that Misgiv clip and shared it on his podcast today. Let me guess, Ethan Klein, my former podcast co-host, who is dialed in and laser focused on all of the important news stories of the day. Your ex-co-host ate that up and his crew was like, I don't think that's true. And he said, there's no other explanation. None whatsoever. So anyway, this is my point. My point is narrative is more important than the truth. Narrative is more valuable than the truth. It does not matter. And people, when they realize what the truth is, okay, why are we talking about your purifier again? Why give a fuck about your outfit in LA drama? This shit makes me want to leave instantly. Okay. I don't know if you understand how personal analogies work, but if you want, I can dive into the importance of sometimes covering like minutia that is personally involved just for, people to understand the broader point here. Sometimes I like to pull it back. The conversation was about Donald Trump and how he just serially lies, and it doesn't really matter because his followers eat that shit up. But this attitude that people have, that is a thought-killing pattern, an attitude that people have towards not really giving a shit about what the truth is on any particular situation, is so pervasive online that it actually even plays itself out in like relatively innocuous, inconsequential moments, such as the one that I was explaining. It was an example. I was using it as an example, a personal example. From small to large, it's just something that happens all the time. Does that make sense? And it is very frustrating, and I don't know how to deal with it in general. I don't know what we do.
That was a fiction that they put that out. This was done by the Border Patrol. It's 13,099, and it's during the Biden period of time. And these are murderers, many of whom murdered more than one person. You don't want those people in this country.
But you're saying something, sir, that's significant. I just want to make sure I'm clear, which is that you're saying, yes, you're going to focus on the people with criminal histories, but everyone who's here illegally has to go.
I'm saying this. We have to get the criminals out of our country. We have to get people that were taken out of mental institutions and put them back into their mental institution, no matter what country it is. Do you know that Venezuela, their prisons are at the lowest point in terms of emptiness that they've ever been? They're taking their people out of those prisons by the...
Like, this is also a falsehood. Like, I don't know. I don't know why he says this all the time. I have no fucking clue where this comes from. It's just a relatively strange thing. It's just another thing that he just says.
The thousands, and they're drunk. And just to get back, because I know exactly what you're getting at. Number one, we're doing criminals, and we're going to do them really rapidly. We're getting the worst gang, probably with MS-13, and the Venezuelan gangs are the worst in the world. They're vicious, violent people. And you see what they've done in Colorado and other places. They're taking over, literally taking over apartment complexes and doing it with impunity. They don't care. They couldn't. They just are. They're in the real estate business.
You know, the local police say that is not the case in Colorado.
Oh, it's totally the case. I mean, you
don't believe the local police.
I play it. I used to play it at my rallies every single night. No, they're breaking into doors. They're taking over the building.
But sir, you
and by the way,
the point.
The police are afraid to do anything.
You raised the point.
Also not true.
That the logistics are complicated.
But it doesn't matter.
You said yourself, you would
everything's complicated.
Yeah, you mean you need 24 times more ICE detention capacity just to deport 1 million people per year, not to mention more agents, more judges, more planes. Is it realistic to deport everyone who's here illegally?
You have no choice. First of all, they're costing us a fortune. But we're starting with the criminals, and we got to do it. And then we're starting with others, and we're going to see how it goes.
Who are the others?
Others are other people outside of criminals. We have convicted murderers. We don't mean people that are even on trial. We have people that have murdered numerous people are on our streets and in our farms, and we have to get them out of our country.
What about dreamers, sir? Dreamers who were brought to this country illegally as children. You said once back in 2017, they, quote, shouldn't be very worried about being deported. Should they be worried now?
The dreamers are going to come later, and we have to do something about the dreamers because these are people that have been brought here at a very young age, and many of these are middle-aged people now. They don't even speak the language of their country, and yes, we're going to do something about the dreamers.
What does that mean? What are you going to do?
I will work with the Democrats on a plan, and if we can come up with a plan, but the Democrats have made it very, very difficult to do anything. Republicans are very open to the dreamers. The dreamers, we're talking many years ago, they were brought into this country, many years ago. Some of them are no longer young people, and in many cases, they become successful. They have great jobs. In some cases, they have small businesses. In some cases, they might have large businesses, and we're going to have to do something with them. And
you want them to be able to stay. That's what you're saying.
I do.
Okay.
I want to be able to work something out. And it should have been able to be worked out over the last 3 or 4 years. And it never got worked out. You know, Biden could have done it because he controlled, Congress to a certain extent, right? He could have done something, but they didn't do it. I never understood why, because they always seem to want to do it. But then when it comes down to it, they don't. I think we can work with the Democrats and work something out.
Let me ask you about another group of people, the estimated 4 million families in America who have mixed immigration status. So I'm talking about parents who might be here illegally, but the kids are here legally. Your borders are.
You're talking about separation?
Yeah, well, I mean, there are two aspects to this. Your borders are, Tom Homan said, they can be deported together.
Correct.
Is that the plan?
Well, that way you keep well, I don't want to be breaking up families. So the only way you don't break up the family is you keep them together and you have to send them all back.
Even kids who are here legally?
Well, what you're going to do if they want to stay with the father? Look, we have to have rules and regulations.
Help us make sense of this. He's just saying he's going to do mass deportations with the children in tow.
You can always find something out like, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. I'll tell you what's going to be horrible. When we take a wonderful young woman who's with a criminal and they show the woman.
Yes, Trump did initially give Venezuelans TPS before the 2020 election to win their support. Yes, he did. He added an extra round of TPS extensions to the Venezuelans specifically in the lead up to the 2020 election. This is correct. He hates them now.
Woman, and she could stay. but they show the woman being taken out, or they want her out, and your cameras are focused on her as she's crying, as she's being taken out of our country, and then the public turns against us. But we have to do our job, and you have to have a series of standards and a series of laws. And in the end, look, our country is a mess. We have the highest crime rate, and during the debate, a man whose ratings have gone way down, David Muir, said to me, no, crime is, because I had to debate 3 people, not one. Debating 1 was easy. Debating 3 was actually pretty easy, too, if you want to know the truth. But David Muir said, the crime rates have gone down. I said, no, they've gone up. And then the following day, they released the crime rates, and they were way up.
Yeah, the FBI statistics. Right? You're talking about those FBI statistics.
Well, no, but
no, that's not correct. No, crime is still down. They literally have not gone up.
He gave the wrong answer.
Confusing based on what you're
That's not true. What is she saying?
Yeah, but a lot of that is migrant crime.
Let me ask you about another aspect of this.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Crimes that are conducted by undocumented immigrants are just so marginal, so inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. It is ridiculous. As a matter of fact, migrants are, as I always repeat over and over again, more of it is unreported. That is not true. You are wrong. No, there are statistics for that as well. There's data for that as well. Okay, there's a National Crime Victimization Survey. And even that does not have like a massive fucking bump. The idea that even if there were additional, the notion that they are conducted and committed migrants who are just secretly so good at evading the authorities somehow is ridiculous. It's just pure racism. You just made that up, okay? You literally just made it up in your mind. You're like, oh, there's unreported crimes. Who is more responsible for it? Probably the people that are responsible for less crime per capita than documented U.S. citizens are, okay? Natural-born citizens are responsible for a higher rate of crime than undocumented Americans are, okay? It's ridiculous. Illegal, yeah, that's the cope. Coming in illegally is automatically crime. So is jaywalking, dumb fuck, okay? During the period of chattel slavery, having slaves was not a crime, but helping escaped slaves find freedom was a crime. Does that mean that automatically it was correct? It was morally righteous? It's dumb as fuck. This is a dumb fucking bullshit thing to say. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about murders. He has said undocumented immigrants are causing murders, hundreds of thousands of murders. The idea that like you would compare that to illegal entry into a country when the only thing that actually, could fix that problem is paperwork is ridiculous. If something can be fixed by paperwork, if they are not actually constituting a serious threat, a serious national security threat, and the only crime is that they don't have fucking paperwork, the proper paperwork, then yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah, Trump is not talking about how these guys are doing movement crimes, okay? They're not. Trump is talking about, he's lying and saying that they're doing rapes and mass murders. The actual number in the fiscal year of 2024 is like, what, 29? For homicide and manslaughter, which includes like literally car accidents, okay? Not just like directly doing gruesome acts of murder, but like simply being involved in a fucking vehicular manslaughter situation, drunk driving, shit like that. The actual number is not hundreds of thousands in the way that Trump presents it. It's actually 29 in the fiscal year of 2024. Okay? Oh, that's one too many. Well, that's an idiotic fucking assessment. That's not how people legislate. That's not how you're supposed to legislate. You can't just be like, well, I only care about the crimes. You're basically admitting that you don't care when like American citizens do crimes. You only care when an undocumented migrant does it, no matter how small that fucking number is, no matter how marginal that number is. It is an idiotic way to try to solve a problem, okay? It's pointing to a person lighting a match inside of a house that is already on fire and being like, oh, what the fuck? What are you doing? You lit a match. Get out, illegals. Democrats' safe house is over. Really? I hope your car gets totaled by an undocumented person with no insurance. I like that. I hope your car gets totaled by an undocumented person with no insurance like mine did. And you pay out of pocket like me. What the fuck? Breaking the law. Illegal status is breaking the law. What the fuck? Ironic, because if that person wasn't undocumented, because my advocacy is that that person gets the proper paperwork, then they would have insurance, you dumbass. And then you would be complaining that you got, if they didn't get the insurance, but they had the proper paperwork, then you'd be like, well, some fucking asshole totaled my car and they didn't have insurance, so I had to pay out of pocket. But of course, when we go back to the brain trust here, okay, Hamas killed Palestine. She got big old teats. Oh no. Is this the car that got total chatter? Benji Longrod, brother. I'm on banning this guy. I want to hear what other fucking incredible moments he has. It's awesome. God, I love hogs.
You know, a lot of it's migrant crime.
Well, let me ask you about another aspect of this that I think a lot of people are really curious about. I mean, 3% of the people who are here illegally have criminal histories. But in your first administration, you had the zero tolerance policy, where we did see family separations.
Yeah.
You ended it. The purpose of that, though, to some extent, you talked about this at the time, was deterrent.
You also had it with Obama. You do know that.
He didn't have a zero tolerance policy.
And you also know he built the jails for children.
He didn't have a zero tolerance policy.
But in 2014.
What the fuck is this? I like you, Hasan. I hate this divide between Jew boy and Turk boy. Okay, that's an insta ban. All right, pretty good.
He built the jails. You know that.
I want to ask you about the zero tolerance policy. I mean, he didn't have a systemic, we're going to separate families. Families were separated when parents were a threat to the kids.
We don't have to separate a family. Excuse me, Kristen.
Yeah.
We don't have to separate families. Yeah. We'll send the whole family very humanely back to the country where they came. That way the family's not separated.
So no more family separations. You're not reviving the zero tolerance policy.
It depends on the family. The family may decide to say, I'd rather have dad go, and we'll stay here. And in which case they have that option.
But you're not going to revive your zero tolerance policy, which was put in place as a deterrent. Is there any universe where you would bring that back, sir?
We need deterrence. Look, ready? When somebody comes here illegally, they're going out. It's very simple. When they come here illegally, they're going out. Now, if they come here illegally, but their family is here legally, then the family has a choice. The person that came in illegally can go out, or they can all go out together. So, and that was made very clear by Tom Homan.
So you're not, at this point...
Oh, he wants to deport not just the undocumented migrants, but their documented family members as well. He's like, you can go with them if you want. Nice.
In time, planning to revive that zero tolerance policy where kids are
if you call
separated.
That, yeah, I'm doing what I just told you I'm going to do. You know, I don't want to send the family out. I don't want to send anybody out. But I'll tell you, we have to, because otherwise we have no country.
Chatter is lying. The same thing happened to me, and I got basic coverage, and I still got paid out. Either they're a broke boy and didn't have insurance, or they're lying. Benji, would you care to respond to the allegations that you're a fucking broke boy? Benji's like, I was drunk driving. It's just funny because, like, yeah, uninsured, insured, doesn't matter. Having your car totaled sucks. But the quickest way to make people hate you is just being a fucking racist asshole. I'm broke as fuck. Why do you think I'm mad about getting hit by a driver with no insurance? Yeah, the problem here is getting mad that someone with no insurance hate you and totaled your car, and that you didn't actually get the, you weren't able to get your insurance company to give you the proper coverage because they're massive pieces of shit. Okay? You should get mad at the right people. You should get mad at your insurance company instead of getting mad at 13 million people across the board and imagining that they have wronged you personally. Okay? Because you know who's probably just as broke as you, if not as broke or more broke? The fucking undocumented guy. So instead of getting mad at the fact that your insurance company generates profits by specifically denying you the coverage that you most likely fucking paid for, but hiding that in the fine print, you literally turn around and you're like, oh, it's the undocumenteds that are the problem here. This is how it works. This is how dummies like you, who are victims of circumstance, get caught up in the anger and resentment. And instead of directing that anger and resentment at the appropriate vectors that are causing you the fucking harm, you literally turn around and you're like, nah, dude, there's still a way to come into this country legally. Why are we ignoring that? No one is ignoring that. The average time frame for someone to legally be able to come into the country requires a shit ton of money and a shit ton of time. Some people don't have that money nor the time. My argument is make it not as costly and make it fast. That's the point. So unless you fucking agree with me on that front, okay, there is no disagreement here. So go ahead. What do you have to say if to my argument that yes, the current process is unimaginably costly and incredibly long, incredibly complex system where you need to get lawyers, pay lawyer fees. Okay, there you go. Yeah, pass the test and come on in. Okay, great. And that is what your advocacy should revolve around, not the fucking forcible mass deportation. No, that is not the law. That is not the law. I'm describing to you how shitty of a process this is. The test is not offered to every single person. This is what you don't understand. And this is what the issue is. Many Americans, I think, can be reasoned with, but they refuse to recognize that that is not the current order of business. Okay? It takes a fucking decade for some people to become American citizens the right way. Okay? If you were to actually make that process faster, then there wouldn't be this many issues. You're still mad at this undocumented migrant and placing the blame on every single person that's come into the country. Okay?
if we don't have borders and if we don't have voting, good voting.
From Turkmenistan, became a U.S. citizen in 2018, came with the U.S. with family in 2004. We spent about $10K on all paperwork for the green card and citizenship.
You know, they're still counting votes in San Diego, California. Listen, they're still counting the votes. This is almost 4 weeks. They're still counting the votes. If we don't have fair elections and honest voting and machines that work quickly, you know, if you had paper ballots.
I literally explained this to my Catholic 90-year-old grandma. She altered her opinion dead ass. Thank you, Hasan, for the words to use in my argument. You're welcome.
Every election will be over by 10 o'clock in the evening.
So, let me ask you.
You understand what I'm saying?
Let me, before we get
and you get a much more accurate count.
Before we get to...
Does Benji know that a lot of illegal immigrants actually enter the U.S. legally? I doubt it. 52% of migrants that come into the... 52% of migrants that are undocumented on U.S. soil actually come in with a visa. They're visa overstayers. One of the most famous examples of this is obviously Elon Musk. Elon Musk was in violation of his visa when he dropped out of, I believe, Stanford and lied on his forms as well. So I guess I will make one exception for deportation. I'm an advocate for deportation of one undocumented immigrant, just one, and that's it. We satiate the thirst that the masses have for this rather cruel practice, and then, you know, win-win for everybody. We rid the nation of the scourge of Elon Musk, and we also forcibly seize all of his wealth. I say that's a good idea. Repatriation, or not repatriation, fucking nationalize all of his industries, all of his businesses. He broke the law. Okay, we got new excerpts incoming. USA, I'm Dark MAGA. USA. The 262-word handwritten manifesto the police found on Luigi Mangione begins with the writer appearing to take responsibility for the murder. According to a senior law enforcement official who saw the document, it notes that United Healthcare's market capitalization has grown. American life expectancy has not. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone, he wrote. The note condemns companies that continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public has allowed them to get away with it. Oh my God, he is the method. He has the motion. Jason is calling. Yo, what up? Yeah, I am live, yeah.
Oh, you still wanted to hoop or nah?
I don't think we can today. There's a lot of stuff that took place. There's a lot of news that happened.
News. Well, okay, then all right, I'll just text you then.
Okay. All right.
Peace.
All right, bye. Call him the method? I want to read his manifesto bad, dude. Talia Jane has a snippet. No hoops with nephew, L Unk. No, I'm still W Unk. We'll do it. We'll do it. No, he texted me beforehand. He said he probably won't be able to do it today. We were supposed to do it now. What? I shouldn't have banned? Oh my God. Deport the smartest man on the planet. A truly genius take. Yes. Why would you ban this person? That person is a cherished new, very productive member. Damn, he got double banned. Ken didn't post the manifesto because they thought it was fake. Okay, guys, stop banning. Stop banning Kaiba. I want to see what they have to say. You live in California, bitch. Elon is all jokes to you. He's fucking up my state. I mean, he fucked up my state too. What are you talking about? He was directly responsible. Ban for that. No. Keep chirping, queen or king or the emperor. Okay, you have incredible ideas, and I think they are people need to hear them. Some mods love banning people. They get high off it, and it's disgusting. Bro, why are you so mad at Elon? He invented electric cars. No, Elon didn't just invent electric vehicles. He invented cars. Fun fact. And space travel. Why do your chatters hate you? Ha ha ha. There's 30,000 people in here. There's always going to be people that come in with hate in their hearts, but it's okay. Okay. I think the reason why is because I allow people to fucking engage in the discourse. The only limitation I have is not that, that you must subscribe, but only follow for 10 minutes. What? Keep balling, brother. Big fan of the content. Don't agree on anything. That's fine to say. But he employs thousands with good jobs. First of all, no, he is notoriously bad with his employment practices. I mean, he's literally been sued by every federal regulatory agency for numerous things, including racial discrimination. So no, Elon didn't invent invent running an automobile manufacturer and want to be diplomat and Nazi because Henry Ford already did that? No, Elon Musk is Henry Ford, literally and figuratively, spiritually. Okay. The one thing he hasn't done is a failed company town in, I don't know, like a Latin American country. Once he figures that out, dude, it's over. He is 100% welcome back Henry Ford. Who will he get the Nazi Medal of Honor award from? Probably Trump. I don't think that Henry Ford was a Nazi. Oh my God, open the schools. Open the fucking school. Do they even, they don't teach that in schools. Yes. Henry Ford was a card-carrying Nazi. Like, straight up. Yes, he was such a fucking valuable Nazi that Adolf Hitler gave him a medal. He is an award-winning Nazi. Like, he got an Olympic gold medal in dick riding Adolf Hitler. Okay? I don't want to see the alleged manifesto, chat. I want to see the real shit. Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn are very open about his anti-Semitism. That's crazy. Yeah. The Dearborn Independent. The International Jew is a 4-volume set of anti-Semitic booklets or pamphlets originally published and distributed in the early 1920s by the Dearborn Publishing Company, an outlet owned by Henry Ford, the American industrialist and automobile manufacturer. The book is for a collection of articles originally serialized in Ford's Dearborn Independent newspaper, beginning with The International Jew, The World's Problem. Yeah. He loved his little pamphlets, man. He did. Close that museum? No, that's crazy. I think that it's valuable to shine a light on. I think it's fucked up that they don't teach that in school for the most part, and they show him as like a valuable titan of industry. No, I think this is good to keep in the museum. What the fuck? It is valid. I don't think we should do erasure of history. Hasan, U.S. public schools don't even teach kids that founders had slaves. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that seems a bridge too far. I feel like I'm sure they do, right? I'm pretty sure they do. They just probably like dance around it. Like they say stuff like they were really kind to their slaves or something. They don't? I don't know. I didn't go to school here, so I can't trust chatters on this, but that seems fucking insane. It seems like it's a very important detail to just skip out. Scroll down to the important part. Dude, he wrote so much. God damn, he wrote, bro, like look at the effort post, dude. Like, holy shit, dude. How do you have so much? He's just like Elon, bro. He's just like Elon. He was like redefining the assembly line while simultaneously, seemingly, once again, CEOs have way too much time on their goddamn hands just posting nonstop. Someone said autistic fixation. Motherfucker, why do you have so much time? Not a single one of the dudes that works on the factory floor was like, hold up. How do you have so much fucking time to write 80 whole volumes, 80 different pamphlets on Jewish people? I feel like maybe you're not putting in the same amount of work that I'm putting in to building these goddamn automobiles. It's like after the 8th volume, you got to be like, all right, maybe you care a little too much. You're being a little silly, sir. You know, it's crazy. Industrial Revolution era Twitter. I mean, Karl Marx is a poster too, obviously. He also fucking loved writing. Karl Marx, my friend told me Karl Marx was anti-Semitic. Yeah, he's Jewish. He did say some, he did say some edgy stuff about Jewish people, but I mean, Karl Marx also was Jewish. He was the original dirtbag leftist. Chad, I'd like to see you reader write something. Okay, first of all, I don't know if you want these motherfuckers to write. Have you seen the shit that they write in the chat? I don't want to read anything by these chatters, okay? I read enough. Anyway, where were we? What is this? Did you see this yet? I did. Everybody's posting this Luigi post. Okay, I'm trying to get it taken down. Look at the title of number 51. Will Jewish Zionism bring Armageddon? Damn, dude. Christian Zionism is the OG method. There it is. Yeah, here is a rare historical photo. Henry Ford receiving the Grand Cross of the German Eagle from Nazi officials, 1938. Hitler came when he saw that shit. Holy 20 pages each, bro. Yeah, the condensed version is the abridged version is 4 pages. This man was so obsessed, dude. It is crazy. Anyway, Gotta give it to Nazis. They only have one talking point, but they really stick to it. Yeah. There's so much lore. TikTok is down? What do you mean? Kufi article excusing anti-Semitism. Christians united for Israel. 100 years of Ford and the Jews. From anti-Semitism to Zionism. I'm beginning to think that the Christians United for Israel don't really care about anti-Semitism that much. He bought a small local newspaper operating at a loss with a mission. Anyway, okay. Shocking revelation. Yeah. Elon Musk condensed the Jews are doing mass immigration from the third world into this country by basically just responding to a guy who said it by going, "You have said the absolute truth." Man. Brevity, okay, important. I guess he is, after all, more innovative in that field, where he was able to condense such dense anti-Semitic lore into such few words. You have said the absolute truth. Way more efficient, way more dangerous. Let's deport him. One guy. You know, if you really want to deport, an illegal immigrant, just one. Also, I'm beginning to realize that oh my God, what Ford did with the independent newspaper in terms of writing all of his pamphlets, Elon kind of has done by purchasing Twitter at a loss. Oh my God. He literally is Henry Ford. It is. Oh my God. Yeah, this motherfucker's never had a single original idea. It is crazy. Someone allegedly found Luigi's manifesto and posted on Twitter. I don't know if it's true, chat. Ken Klippenstein thinks it's bunk. Who will be Times Person of the Year? See the short list. Joe Rogan, Claudia Scheinbaum. Who is this woman? Kate Middleton? Is that like a queen or something? What the fuck is that? She's no, Kate Middleton is next in line to be queen or something, right? Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, Elon Musk, and Claudia Scheinbaum, the real queen. I'm assuming it's not going to be Claudia Scheinbaum that wins this, but that is the only person that is good on this list that I like. She's queen consort, not even queen. I envy the shit you're ignorant of. I'm sorry, dude. I don't know who fucking Kate Middleton is. Immediately clocking them. My bad. I feel like there's more significant people. Elon Musk, Yulia Navalnaya, Russian economist, has been in the spotlight after her husband and country's leading dissident Alexei Navalny died in February. Navalnaya announced that after her husband's death in prison, she would continue his work. She accused Russian President Vladimir Putin of killing her husband, has met with world leaders. Oh, gross. Benjamin Netanyahu. Jerome Powell. Come on. Chairman of the U.S. Federal Reserve's 2018 survey under Trump and Biden administration as chairman. He's been steering the ship on the economy. Joe Rogan. I mean, this is all cooked. Throw this whole list in the trash. Bro, we're going to put a podcaster on Times Person of the Year short list. What is happening? All right, let's see what they said about Claudia. In October, Claudia Scheinbaum made history when she was sworn in as Mexico's first ever female president. Scheinbaum, a lifelong leftist, is also the first Jewish leader in the country of more than 200 years of independence. Scheinbaum forced her campaign on fighting for the poor and is taken into office at a time when Mexico faces issues ranging from struggling economy to rising organized violence. After Trump announced his plan to impose a 25% tariff on all products from Mexico coming into the U.S., Scheinbaum was quick to issue a firm response, indicating that Mexico, I think she should get it, but I don't think she will. Ew, why would Mark Zuckerberg be on this? He was under the microscope this year as a billionaire Meta CEO dealt with government scrutiny into Meta, which owns Facebook, Instagram, and other platforms. Ugh. It's going to be Bibi. I mean, Adolf Hitler has been man of the year, so it wouldn't shock me if they made Benjamin Netanyahu man of the year. I think it'll probably be Benjamin Netanyahu. Yeah, see? Adolf Hitler, man of the year, 1938. This is very famous, chat. How do you not know this? It's probably going to be fucking Elon, which I think is gross. They did not mention Jelani. He popped off. He popped off too late, okay? That's recency bias. Also, that's really fucked up. They put Jelani on that short list and not Zelensky. That's fucked up, okay? Jelani snubbed. Where's Haley Welch? What about the Luigi Mansion guy? Again, too much of a latecomer, so it won't happen. Notice no le bisexual. It's because le bisexual, le goat, le Mao Zedong is man of the year every year in my heart, and that's what matters. This list is so funny because it's there's one person that it's not like the others here, you know what I mean, is in terms of causing a metric ton of harm. And I guess Kate Middleton too, the fuck has she done? Nothing, you know what I mean? But then everyone else is like a villain in very meaningful ways, like responsible for so much. Anyway, that'll be all for today, chat. However, I do